So I'm out and Aboot. How's everybody doing in these dystopian times? Feels like the world is crumbling all over the place in so many areas. The latest? The Ukraine invasion. This Putin regards Ukraine as his back, in his playground. This is his playground. Who knew that Ukraine was his playground in back of his house, that he could, take up a chair and sit on it any time that he thought he wanted to? Okay, the Ukraine, which was part of Russia, actually the USSR, up until, I believe, 1991, when it separated and was recognized as its own unique country. Who knew that it was on borrowed time? And then it got involved in the power politics between the West and the East. The West with NATO, and the East with the bear, the sleeping bear, and Ukraine in between. And then Ukraine had the temerity to flirt with NATO. And NATO had the irresponsibility in some ways to flirt with Ukraine. And Mr. Megalomaniac in Russia decided that that's a no-no. I can determine what Ukraine wants. Not Ukraine. I can determine. I'm the boss of Ukraine, whether they realize it or not. And so we have what we have here. Okay? There's other mitigating issues. But Mr. Putin, in Quebec, Putin is it's a dish with French fries and heavy gravy. And if you eat too much of it, you feel it's never going to get out of your system. It blocks everything. Okay? And this guy, this autocrat, this megalomaniac, this KGB ex-agent, who thinks that is in the grand tradition of all the czars and all the oligarchs all over the world and all the dictators, he thinks he can do what he wants. And guess what? He's pretty much doing it. It's the democracies against people like him, China, a lot of them in the Middle East, okay, a lot of them in Africa. To deal with these types of things, we've dealt with them in the past. They were smaller. We, through the United States, the policeman of the world, who gets into things and then 20 years or 10 years later decides to run in the middle of the night. They had enough of policing that particular region. And then chaos ensues. It's hard to deal with dictators. There has to be a revolution within the country to depose them. Look what's happening in Libya. They're not exactly in a stable situation there after getting rid of Gaddafi. They tried to get rid of Assad in Syria, who was a client of Russia. Look what happened there after that civil war. He's still there. So we're dealing with a situation of how to live with these guys. Revolution comes within. It can be helped outside But when you have an oppressive governments that jail people inside, like they're doing in Russia, I think the latest thing is if you join or you're involved in an international organization, you're going to get 20 years in jail. Who does that? He does that. Yes, we can make him a pariah. We can cut off his oxygen in many areas. And only hope that there is a coup in Russia. There was no need for the Ukraine to push going to NATO if they were going to get that type of reaction from Russia. And don't tell me they were naive. When you're living next to this bear who doesn't like democracy, you don't poke the bear. And that was the fault of the West. And the Ukrainians, the leadership, thought we're a free country. They should have remained a buffer zone. And they should have mined the country with mines left and right all over the borders, so that if anybody approaches, they're going to pay a little bit more than what they paid unhindered as they walked into Ukraine. Okay? But there's naivete there too. There's something called realpolitik. You got to deal with what's out there, not what you think democracy should be and everybody should be involved. It ain't necessarily so for certain regions of the world, okay? And we don't know how to deal with that. So, all I can say is in these dystopian times, where we've got COVID for the last 2 years, rampaging through civilized society, making us all into hermits. Now it's lessening up because everybody's getting rid of the mandates, including Quebec announced today that they're getting rid of the mandate in most areas, and in a few months they'll get rid of them, I think in May, totally. So we're going to return back to normal, but this is normal. What's going on in the world? So all I can say to you is that we live in dystopian times, and we got to take care of our mental health, and we got to basically keep on going with our ideas, our deals partially shattered, but hoping to rebuild a better world in the areas that we can rebuild a better world until we can push for a better world in all regions of the world. Okay? And this is what I'm talking about right now in terms of a webcast that I want to do in the future, because I don't want to be tied to any corporate people that tell me at any important time, you can't talk about that, and you can't talk about this, and you can't talk about that, because you can't talk about it. If you talk about it, we're going to let you go. And it's happened. Okay? I don't want to be tied to corporate control like that. So, if you're interested in having a webcast, me doing a webcast, you calling in, like a radio show, a regular radio show, maybe with even video. You can see me. I'll have to get always decent haircuts, almost like every few days or every week to look good to you guys, which I just got. You'll contribute to my GoFundMe page that I put on my Facebook. And if you don't support me, you're not going to get this on a regular basis if you think this is valuable. Bring up topics like this so that we can talk quite frankly. And there's always a 7-second button we had in the radio. If anybody's going to be an asshole, we get them before you can hear their assholiness when they're trying to be holier than thou with their viewpoint. So it's going to be a show, if I ever do it, with your help. It'll be a show where we try to get to the middle of the road. Have dispassionate conversations, decent conversations, and passionate conversations about the issues of the day. So I say to you in Dystopia land, let's keep on trucking together, and we'll try to get through this. Peace.